get very dejected and tired and burned out. But I think it's because they're not operating in their gift. They're trying to operate outside of their gift.
Right.
So as soon as you can figure out a way to incorporate your gift into your day-to-day interactions with your students,
right,
then that's how you get that internal joy.
Right. And now I use my spiritual gifts in the classroom too, and I have one of discernment. I think we've talked about that before. And I think that's how I'm able to create an environment that's positive, and an environment that, because I can easily zone in on something that ain't right, or something that, sometimes though, like I had to hug it out with one of my students because I had been going at him like 4 times straight and he really hadn't done anything. So it was like, I had to stop and be like, why am I doing this? And so I had to just like give him a hug, a real hard hug, and be like, let me give you a little bit of love, because I know, like, first of all, his last name is like synonymous with the rear end. So when we were playing this online game, it came up as unsafe name, but really he was only putting his first and last name in there. So I was laughing at it, and I was like, oh, but his last name really is that, whatever. But I yelled because I was like, who's putting cuss words in this game? Like, I was all mad, but then I was like, oh, it's him, because it's like, so that didn't apologize for laughing and then yelling, and then like he excused himself, but then came back because he forgot something. I was like, ugh, like, can we just, and then it would happen another time. So on the 4th time, I was like, come here, because I have not been giving you the right energy today. Like, let's just hug and it'll be okay. Like, I am so sorry.
I'm so proud though, because I feel like teachers, me included, have a hard time reflecting on the mistakes that they've made,
right,
when it pertains to dealing with children. Because I don't care what grade level, I've been in high, middle, and elementary, and all of them are children at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're babies.
I understand that maybe your high school kid has a smart mouth, but I have encountered some elementary kids with some smart mouths too. So I respect you, and I'm happy for you to even take that look and say, whoa.
Like, why am I responding like this every time?
Right. And that takes a lot, to look in the mirror and say, I ain't being all the way right myself. And, it's not a judge, like, nobody's being judgmental, but our students, our kids, and their feelings get hurt, and they feed off of our energy. So the fact that you went back and hugged them, that's spirit of discernment.
And it wasn't just for me, but it was just to set a different tone, because
that'll in turn make your kids start treating him that way
exactly
too.
And I think that's what I felt like, that shift, and I was like, what is it? And so that I feel like that spiritual gift. So some people feel like if they have certain spiritual gifts, that there is no place for that in their workplace.
Oh yeah, no.
Did you just finish my sentence?
Because I agree. I think some people think that it has to be completely separate.
Or that and I know that doesn't mean like, praying laying hands, but you can use what
Speaking
you
in
have.
tongues.
You don't
in the middle of a meeting.
You don't have to pray the blood of the lamb.
When you feel that bad spirit, you just bind it out in tongues. Now you can't do that in the middle of a meeting. You
picking up Crayola crayons talking about this is the blood of the lamb red.
Stop it.
That is a specific shout out to Nicole with Charlie Rocks, but whatever. Did you just see this?
Oh, missed it.
So anyways, I feel like if you have identified your spiritual gifts, please do not feel like you can't use those.
And don't forget that you can't. Okay, so spiritual gifts can be incorporated in your workplace. And I'm just thinking about the gifts that you have that are outside of the realm of what you're doing. You have to figure, I just strongly believe in order for you to be happy, you have to figure out a way to incorporate that in your day-to-day. So
absolutely.
One, and this was a teacher, and it sounds super obvious, but it wasn't for her. Oh my gosh, she has been so artistic all of her life. She wanted to major in art, and of course, for some reason, creatives are always frowned upon. You can't make any money being an artist, but you really can.
You can.
So art is what she loves, but because of the pressures of academics and Common Core and high rigor and all these things, she has definitely walked completely away from that.
Oh.
So I was just like, you've got to figure out a way to incorporate art into your lessons daily. And I mean, and for her, because she is a real artist, like it has to go beyond coloring. So she has to figure out a way to incorporate that serious part of art in her day and in her environment, because that's what makes her happy. So we had some deep, and another way you can get that fulfillment is starting a side hustle. If you're not able to do that within your space of work, then you have to figure out a way to tap into that in your side hustle.
Right.
So the other aspect of that she wanted to start doing was decorating cookies, like in her own artistic way.
That's a big deal nowadays.
Yeah, beyond, because I told her, I said, I don't think you should do like Disney characters or anything.
Nope.
I think you should do like real art.
Ooh.
Like make it really art deco. And she was like, oh, that's such a good idea. I said, because people always want to be original. They want their stuff to look so different from everybody. Even the common man. Now, it's not just celebrities.
Right.
Every just commoner wants to stand out in some kind of way amongst their peer group.
And another thing is, you mentioned the side hustle, which a lot of teachers have or want to have. But if you're all about being like an entrepreneur and making your money, like creating an assignment for the kids that incorporates that is so real life that it's not even funny. So I remember, like, while I was starting business stuff, I remember doing a lot of business based things in the classroom, like create your own business that would support this idea, and like incorporating whatever you're doing in your other life in the classroom, because that's real life stuff.
It is. And that is absolutely one of those connections that you're supposed to be making in class anyway.
Absolutely.
And that's so funny that you said that, because, I was a mass comm marketing major minor. And my favorite lesson was my marketing lesson with my 7th graders, and they got all into it and I got all into it, and they really loved it. And one of my lower performing students nailed this marketing campaign because they had to come up with a product, do it from A to Z, just all the way through. And I looked at him and I was like, you could do this. And I mean, he's not successful academically like traditional academics, but that project, he was amazing. So
and introducing to these students to all these different things, it just really can, I was able to figure out one of my students' gifts. And this is the second year that me and my co-teacher have had him. And I was asking my co-teacher, why did we not recognize his gift last year?
What was it?
It's service. So that whole let me be in charge of this, let me help set up the labs, let me pass this out. And we would just be like, can you go somewhere?
Aww.
Like, what are you doing? But he is like literally in lab. That is his thing. And it's not doing the lab. It's like making sure everybody has 100 milliliters of blah, blah, blah. Making sure that if there's a spill, that there's like paper tissues and like all this stuff. And so we were able to talk one-on-one in a tutoring time, which is so important. Tutoring is like,
that's when you get to know kids.
Yeah, you
and
do.
You build the relationship.
So he was able to talk about all these things. He had like, oh God, he had a mother passed, moved with his aunt passed, moved with his other aunt. So now he's living with his aunt. But he was explaining that like the way he serves is like his way of showing that he's still here, like that he's helping and that he's, and I was like, oh my God, that he has something to contribute, that he has, so it was very, and me and Amy were in there like, oh my goodness, like why? And
that brings up a whole different aspect of gifts, because I'm reflecting and I wonder, because my principal and I were talking the other day and we were just like, there's this whole new craze on in education where you focus on kids' strengths rather than their weaknesses. And that's just like a whole different type of strategy and approach to take to education. And I wonder how many teachers really stop long enough to try to identify, one, the strengths that their students have, and two, to cultivate those strengths and gifts that our students have.
We taught him this is our second year, and it
just now hit you.
It just clicked, and we knew his story, but I'd never heard him tell the story, but you know of course. It. But then he added this other piece, and we recognized certain things in him. We're like, can you sit down? Like, okay, yes, they knocked it over. You don't have to run over there and clean it up. Like, what is going on? So he was just really like, that was his heart. I think his heart is to serve. And that also, I mean, that can help with his future. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, what drives you?
Yeah.
And I wish... And I know Myers-Briggs, I know learning style inventory, I know all of the love language, all of those things, but like, I don't think any of those are really going to replace like getting to know your students.
Oh no, it doesn't. I mean, point blank period.
You can start off and say, I know all of these things, and now
but you don't know your student.
You don't know why or how they came to how they feel about stuff, and you give those on the first day of school. And then you think you got it nailed. So now I'm going to show videos, and I'm going to do plays, and I'm going to do music for this one, and I'm going to have them. But, like, it's not the same. It's not authentic. It's not relationship based. It's if they answered those questions right or wrong. Like, who knows?
And that's true. And, like, if you have built a relationship with a kid, you are going to know their strengths. And the thing that just keeps coming up in my building, in my school.
In my schoolhouse.
Is lack of motivation. These kids aren't motivated. Well, am I motivated to do stuff that I know I feel like I suck at, and you tell me daily that I suck at it because you just showed me where I scored 11% in this area, you know?
Or that's boring.
Yeah. like, of course I'm not going to be motivated to work on something that you have told me over and over that I'm horrible at.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different...
Oh, that hurts me so bad when you talk about elementary school, because I feel like everything there should be like all encouraging. Like,
but sometimes when I'm speaking of all of my experiences. So, you know, I've only been in elementary school 18 weeks.
I feel like it's been forever. I feel like you're like an expert right now.
People, I think my teachers feel that way too. I'm like, baby doll, I've only been here 2 weeks.
I don't know. You're not better than me.
I know. So second semester, I'm gonna be a real expert.
Right.
But you know, with all that, I'm talking in general. Like when I'm speaking generally about several students and several teachers that I've seen interact with their kids. And what I see is that we sometimes spend more time beating a child down than trying to figure out and find those unique ways to lift them up.
Yeah. And I mean, I can tell you, because now I'm soul searching about the boy I kicked the F out earlier today. And there have been times where the whole class will be like, we know who your favorites are. And I'm like, you don't know, because they think they know, because there's certain ones that I really love. And like, they are always around, or they're always always doing. Yeah. So I'm like, no. And they're like, you don't like so-and-so. And his name came up one time. And I was like, actually, he is my favorite. Girls, you know, he worked so hard that day to turn in half a worksheet full of nothing, but he did put something
more
down.
than he had been
and
doing.
He smiled a little to himself or whatever, and I was like, dang, I thought I won him over, but it didn't happen. So it let me know, though, that he functions on, you know, being included, being liked, being, you know, all of that.
But who doesn't?
And I'll call out.
That's what I don't get about us as adults sometimes. Like,
why would you?
I was just telling a mama the other day, I was like, you need to start speaking life into your son. That's why he is misbehaving so much, because that's the only type of attention he knows how to get. And
how many kids actually hear like you're my
they
favorite?
They don't. It's so many
or
that
you're
don't.
So good.
Only the Trapper Keeper girls.
Yeah,
I say that because I was one. But
well, they always call out the Trapper Keeper, the natural favorite. But I always try to say, you guys are all my favorite. And they're like, no, so-and-so's not your favorite. And
they
I'm like,
know.
yes,
they know
are.
because we've shown them through the way that we treat the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's just human nature. But like I was telling this
if
mom,
you're annoying, that doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means you need to get away from me right now.
They feel that though.
That
whole get away. But
and I tell them at this point,